Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters in Islam. This is a message from a Muslim in Germany, directed to my brothers and sisters in Islam in Egypt, in the hope that my humble effort with this video to reach as many as possible. Even I don't know if I can reach you at all. I'm using this channel because I want to express my feelings, my thoughts, my emotions on the events happening in Egypt. We are deeply sad when we see how people in Egypt are treated, that vans, trucks, tanks are rolling over the bodies as if these are no human beings, as if these are animals, or even worse. These images are shocking us, especially because we are Muslim, and we cannot look at such images without being deeply offended, deeply hurt. We cannot say that now we hope that you will reach your aims and we are happy that you are on the streets when we see these images where trucks and vans are rolling over human bodies as if these are no humans. We cannot talk anymore about your aims if we see these images, because the price is too high. On the other side, and on the other hand, we are deeply concerned about the development in Egypt, especially in also many other Islamic countries, so-called Islamic countries, where Muslims are absolutely discriminated and are confronted with political leadership who makes it very difficult, even impossible, to carry out the deen of Islam, restricting the liberty of a religion. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, we had some eyewitness on TV who are protesting in Cairo and who are telling us what is going on in Cairo. If we have to believe these eyewitnesses who come to Germany and reporting us what is going on this protest, on these demonstrations, on the street, then we, if this is true, have to say to all the Muslim brothers and sisters, why you are on the streets, for what? Why you are on the streets if this eyewitness report that the people say you shall not say Allahu Akbar, because this is not a religious demonstration, it's a demonstration for peace, for liberty and for democracy. Then why you are among those people, dear brothers and sisters? Do you not read the Quran? That once you detect yourself to be among those people who belittle or insult Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger Muhammad alayhi salatu salam, that you shall not stay with them, that you have to go away, that you should not gather with those who do this? How can you gather with people who give the order not to say Allahu Akbar, to give a symbol that this is not a religious demonstration? If this is not a religious demonstration for Islam, what are you doing on the streets side by side with women? Are you allowed to stand so near side by side with women? Is this what the Quran and Sunnah is teaching us? Is this our Islamic perspective? That we are standing with foreign women we don't know side by side on the street, very narrow, to demonstrate not for Islam but for democracy? Is this the outcome of all the work which our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ started and carried out to give mercy, especially to all the countries where Islam is located and established? How can the inhabitants then make this big mistake to turn back from Islam and to turn to democracy? We are here Muslims in Germany, in Europe, we're in the minority, and we have to submit to the laws here. We are not able to carry out the Islamic Sharia, but you have this liberty and you can do it. And once you are on the street and the people prevent you from saying Allahu Akbar, why are you on the streets? Why are you standing with these people? Why you don't isolate yourself from these people? How can you say we form a unity? There can only be a unity in one interest, and this is that you serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are you not reading the Quran? Did you leave the Quran? Is this only words which you recite without that the content is reaching your heart? How can you say we want democracy while you even don't have the Islam in your heart? I'm not saying this to everyone there. We know that they are honest people, and we know that they are brave people. We are talking about those who are on the streets and do not say Allahu Akbar, who are silent, who submit, and who do not say Allahu Akbar, who say I don't want to be recognized as an Islamist. That means they have adopted these characteristics given by the kuffar to the Muslim. They have adopted it, they obey, and they don't say Allahu Akbar. Why we can't hear in the streets the wording Takbir and Allahu Akbar to show what you really want? You want democracy and freedom? You want dunya? You want to sell the akhirah? You want to sell the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a cheap price? وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِنَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَامِلُوا بِالصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَصَّوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَصَّوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Sabr, dear brothers and sisters, it means that you have the patience. And yes, we can say this even if we are here in the rich countries, because we also have sabr, because they discriminate us. They name us Islamist just because we are carrying out peacefully our religion. But you're in Egypt. You have the honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came back to you after you people, your ancestors, have been punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the children of Israel have been helped, and the people of Egypt have been punished. When our dear Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came with the message of Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turned to all mercy to you people in Egypt and brought you the Islam. If today Musa alayhi salam will come back and will see the situation of the children of Israel, and we must say the unreal children of Israel, and see the situation of the children of Egypt, what do you think on which side he will be? But if you sell the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will go the same direction the children of Israel went, when they turn away from their religion, and when they sell the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a cheap price, shouting for democracy. We are not saying that democracy is bad, but do you know how the Western world is acting? They want you not to go towards the Islamists, because they say these are terrorists. Your brothers and sisters in Islam are labeled of those to whom you shout help that they are terrorists. In Iraq and Afghanistan, all over the world, they are killing your brothers and sisters, and you are shouting for them to help you? First they have to accept that Islam is our religion, and that we don't refrain from this religion. And they should not lure you, they should not trap you with always the same wordings concerning Iran and Ayatollah Khomeini. This is not Islam as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ brought us. This was a political movement which has nothing to do with Quran and Sunnah. We want you only to go to the street, and even then your life, to risk your life, if in your heart there is the belief for Islam. But if you go on the street for other values, you shall not go on the streets. I suppose you even commit big sin if you go on the street and you are Muslim and you are not going on the street for Islam. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that it's a jihad when you express towards an unjust ruler that he is unjust. So we can say that you express that Hosni Mubarak is unjust, is a jihad. But you have to understand Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not mean unjust in this term that you say down with Mubarak, we want to have Western democracy, we want to have more modernity, we want to have a modern so-called Islam. For this you are unjust. But if you go on the street, then you have to express yourself for Islam. And if you don't express for Islam, you shall stay at home. You shall let your children and your wife and everyone be protected and be safe. If you don't go for Islam on the street, stay at home, because it's all in vain. It's nothing. It's not valued if you go on the street if it's not for Islam. So once you understand this, you must also understand that your wish inside you is nothing but illusion. This life will end. And sabr is something on which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests each and every one of us in different life situations. And you cannot say, oh, you who are talking there, you are in Germany. Wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed us, everyone has his problems. Never think that one is in dunya and paradise. No one is. The problem is that you can't see in his heart and can't see his problems and can't see his obstacles which he is confronted with. So you are absolutely taken in illusion, just seeing the outside, Europe, Western world. Is it not that this illusion is created by Satan? And even the Christian know this when they read the gospel, that Isa alayhi salam was tested, and the Satan offered him all the wonderful of this dunya, and Isa alayhi salam resisted. And we know that all the prophets resisted and stayed cheap and stayed poor, cheap in their life. In that term, in the material life, they had a cheap life. Yes, we say this. They stayed cheap in terms of material life. So everyone in material thinking would say they have a cheap life, but they stay highest in value as concerning their spiritual life. If you want to decide for the materialistic life, you can do this, but be aware, if you don't decide for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger, you decide for the hell. And if you don't know this, then you have left already the spirit, and you have already left the true belief which should be in your heart. That you understand, if you turn Islam the back, if you turn away, this is the same as if you turn from paradise to hell. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that a Muslim who have pronounced the Shahada, from him no other religion will be accepted. How can it be accepted after you have given the guarantee to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you absolutely accept Muhammad alayhi salatu salam as his messenger? How can then he subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from you another religion, as you are lying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you don't keep your promise? How can he accept from you another religion after you have submitted to Islam? And yes, it is not that you just outwardly pray, it is not that you outwardly exercise the deen, but it must be in your heart. You must be a mu'min. And this means that you wish for your brother what you shall wish for yourself. And this does not mean your bad wishes which Satan is inserting in you, but the best wish which you can wish for your brother is Islam. So me, I'm holding this speech to you because I'm a Muslim with full conviction, and I wish you also, those who are honest, to fight for Islam and to convince the people who have been lured, who have been trapped by Satan and his materialistic promises. If you are on the street to fight for the promises to be fulfilled which Satan gives you in your heart, of being rich, of having a good life, then don't be on the street, because then you are servants of Satan. How can you say we fight against Mubarak who is unjust, and then you stand for unjust? You only can have the right to stay on the streets if you are Muslim, if you are standing for Islam. But if you unite with people who don't allow you to say Allahu Akbar next to you, how can you gather with them? How can you stand with them? How can you say we are one unity? Are you uniting with those who forbid to be real Muslim? Who give you the feeling that you have to feel ashamed to be a Muslim? Then you stay with them together? That means you want to be like them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us in the Quran that the unbelievers will only be satisfied with you once you will be unbeliever, once you will be like them, once they will not recognize that you are different, then you are like the kuffar. If the kuffar think you are the same, that means you are a kuffar. And it cannot be that you say outwardly I'm just doing like this so that I have no problem. This means it's exactly as the hypocrites who go to the unbelievers and say we are with you. We are with you. And when they're with the believers they say we are with you. This is not possible. If you are with the Muslims you have to say to the kuffar we are not with you. We are not with you. So long you don't attack us, we will not defend. Once you attack us, you will know that we are able to defend. But what is the point? You cannot go on the streets for things which will not help you. It will not help you. It will not help you in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot say, I was on the street to fight for materialistic things. I was on the street to fight for speech liberty. What kind of speech liberty? That they insult Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That you allow them to say it's forbidden to say Allahu Akbar? Is this the freedom of speech which you are on the street to fight for this? If you're fighting for this, you are fighting against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says clearly He does not need us. He subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need us, but we need Him. So if you turn away, be sure that you are lost. So why you are risking the lives of your children, of your wives, of your mothers, of your sisters? How can you risk them if it is not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And in that you must be clear. You cannot stand together with those who are against Islam. You cannot protest together with them. It's impossible. It means you have to be separated from them. You cannot pray among them. How can you pray among them? Must we see the pictures that Christian people protect you, that you can make your prayers? And you think these are good images for us? These are the worst images. Muslim has to protect Muslim to pray. Those Christians have not to protect you to pray. They have to pray themselves. You have to invite them to pray, and not that they protect you to pray as if they are better. Go another place where you are among yourselves and not among the kuffar. How can you protest together with the kuffar for things which they want, which has nothing to do with Islam, which is against Islam? So long you don't recognize this, all your protest is in vain. I'm not saying that this to everyone. I know they are honest among you. But what we see and what the eyewitness report us, and the pictures which we see, and the wordings which we hear, why can't we hear in the streets very clear and loud, Allahu Akbar? Why can we not see the Muslims together? How can we see all in one unity? The one who are against Islam and the one who are in favor of Islam, and saying that this is a unity and that this is good, this is not good, and this is not a unity which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. He wants a unity among the Muslims. He does not want that we unite with the kuffar. He said to us we have to treat them well as they don't attack us, but He does not want us that we form a unity. There is only one exception: if we protect ourselves against them. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us protection, how can you seek protection from them? So only in the utmost extent, when there is no other possibility, then it is allowed. But in that you have to ask yourself if there is no other possibility. If you are just searching the easy and comfortable way, and if you are not able really to struggle for Islam. Therefore, I ask every Muslim in Egypt, as a brother in Islam, if you stand together with Muslim, saying Allahu Akbar on the street, you're welcome. You have to go on the street. If you unite together with those who say Allahu Akbar is forbidden to be pronounced, to be said, you have not together with them. You have not to show unity with them. No matter if you think we have the same goal, we have the same aim. You can't have the same aim. That means you cannot gather with those together. Woman and man, next to next. Kuffar and believers. This cannot be. And if you think this is old-fashioned, you are already on the trap. You are already on the way to hell. Because when you listen to a preacher, Islamic preacher, and you say, he seems to me as if he is outdated, not up to date, as they say, then you are already off-road. Then you have been already trapped. Then you have been already lured to the wrong direction. Then you are absolutely to the direction hell. Once you don't understand the preacher that he is talking exactly the truth, once you say this is obsolete, you are lost. Obsolete is only one thing, that you forget the true value of Islam. This has become obsolete, and this you have to revive with all what you can. This must be the spirit in your heart. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatillah.